that fits perfectly inside this intersection. So here we have the same. We have another mountain. We have a bigger mountain than this. But at the same time, we have, let's say, the second more important building is placed here. So it is exactly placed on this intersection. So this help to understand better in a better way the composition and give to our landscape a feeling more balanced, right? So once you have this kind of position clear, so once you understand these intersections, then in these blocks you can place the rest of the important things in the composition. So here we have like in this block we have the main building, and in all of these blocks just beside we have the rest of the building, these big blocks, you know, with you know, other important buildings, because we have some reflections here that make more interesting this part of the composition. We have this kind of buildings, this kind of towers just in the front of the composition. That make our composition, our environment more understandable. Right. So now the other important thing when you start to create your composition is you have to decide what kind of parts you want to show. You have to select, you have to choose a good angle. You have to decide if you are gonna put something like a storytelling in your composition. And you have to start to think about the key features like architecture. We are talking about that, right? So what about to create a continuity between all the buildings? If you want to transmit a message that this could be something like the storytelling. If you are creating here, like you see, we are creating mountains. You have to decide what kind of mountains, and if these mountains are according the style of the architecture. All of these kind of things that create this extra continuity. This is like to develop the visual of our composition. So here we have to start. We have to talk about what kind of buildings. Here, if you see, we have this kind of domes that every building have, you know, and this is really special, really important to create the continuity between all the buildings. Because if you see, you can see really quick that we have buildings. For example, we have all of these buildings belongs to the same civilization or to the same city. Because imagine that if you see here, if you start to see buildings with I don't know, different roof like this, and now this building has another different roof, you know, like this, for example, and now we have here like a spike, and here the same, you know, different architecture. If you go here to this building, you will see the same. Here we have something like this, and probably the main building is not something like this. It's that just something like a big, like a triangle, like a pyramid here. So this is not good because you are starting to create chaos, and you are probably you are creating a good illustration, with a good balance, with colors. The light and shadows are really nice, but the storytelling are totally chaotic because you are just creating buildings with totally different architecture. That could be a problem. So just try to focus on create buildings with bit of continuity between them. So that's going to be really cool to create a balanced illustration, to create a good concept. Even with the color, here we are just using this kind of blue tones, blue-gray tones, Here we have another one. Another kind of blue here. And probably, we have more something dark here. This is going to be our color code. This could be our color palette for the domes of our buildings. If you select the color of the buildings, you will have another kind of color palette, like this. Of course, now we have a lot of variations, because we have light, shadows, and you can see all of these kind of details coming from the textures and all of these kind of things. But you still see the color palette, and all of them are inside the same group, even with the reds here. We can find a good balance between them. This could be more brown. Yeah, but all of these details will help to create this continuity in our environment, in our creation. So the first thing is the architecture. Other thing is the color palette, the color code. Even with the mountains, you see here some variations, some tones according browns, this kind of stone tones. The same with the greens, even with the sky, Those of these details are really important to create the continuity and create that balance, really appealing for the eye. We have to create something with a good balance. So take care with your architecture design. Take care with the color palette. Just create a good composition, follow the rules composition, and if you take care about all of these details, you will have something really balanced and really nice for your environment. So to get all of these details, the good point, something really important is to just make a good research about your reference. You have to start from now to gather of all of these reference that you think will be important for create your buildings or to create your environment. So here I have selected some of them just to explain you really quick what kind of aspects are important for me here, what kind of key feature are important for me, and what kind of details I'm focusing to create my composition. So here, as you can see, we have something really similar that we talked just in the previous picture. You have buildings, you have a group of some buildings with a good continuity between them. You have this kind of domes, even in this tower, even in this small detail, you have this kind of domes with a good color balance. Everything, every roof, every dome have the same blue palette, gray palette, and even with the color of the structure, you have this kind of browns. So that's perfect. That's really nice to create this continuity. And you have here just a group of few buildings, is like create a mass of few buildings with the same features, with a similar aspect. So that's really important to create that continuity, really important for our composition. The same here. In fact, here we have some variation because we have this is square buildings and rounded buildings, but we're getting this continuity with the color palette, in the roof and in the structures. Probably we have just some touches like blue, orange, this brown, just to break a bit the continuity, because sometimes it's good to break the continuity. This is exactly a good example when you're creating a composition with all of details with a good continuity. It's like to create just a solid lines that could be interesting because you are creating something balanced, but sometimes you need to break a bit that line, to create some variations to make something more interesting. So here we have another example. Here is like, well, we have just one building, but is created with some groups with small buildings, something like that, with the same features, with the same aspect. Here we have exactly the same. Here as well. Well, this is the same picture like this. Well, it's like different pictures, but it's really well. It's really that picture is really nice to explain that that aspects about the continuity. So make your reference, make your own research about the reference. Just take a look about this kind of buildings, this kind of composition. what you want to create, what kind of buildings you want to create. And once you have the first aspect ready, just start to make some sketches. So this is 4 sketches that I made previously based on that reference, that initial reference, and just thinking about what kind of composition I want to create. So there is several rules talking about composition, but my favorite is the rule of the third that I said. So this is basically to divide your screen, your canvas in 9 equal rectangles, and just start to place everything close to the intersections. And if you want to place something like a main building or something where you want to be focused, try to place it close to the intersection or just in the central block, and you will get this extra balance. So this is the first one, the first sketch I made. The second, we have exactly the same. We have something here, something like a main building where everything is, your eye is just focused on this part. So if you want to place some buildings, just use this intersection, to place everything like this. And here as well, these kind of buildings are inside the intersections. Here in the first one, for example, I'm using as well this kind of bridge, with this illumination that is exactly like lines, just to tell you that this is something important in the composition. So here we have the same, exactly this one is just placed on this close to the intersections. Here we have more things, like this, for example, close to this one. I mean, it's not mandatory. Not everything have to be just close to the intersection, but this is something like, just like a rule. If you don't know exactly where you want to put the buildings, so just make these lines and you will have everything more clear. Also, these lines, like for example this kind of bridge, are like lines, to tell you, hey, this is something important, so just look to this point. This is the number 3. This is the number 4. All of them have like different camera angles, but in all of them you can apply these intersections. Here we have another, again, this big tower is close to the intersections, and here we have a big mass of a big block of buildings on this mountain close to the intersection. Probably if you want to fix this sketch, or if you want to develop this sketch, probably what I will do is just move this mountain just a bit to this side, to create a better balance, but as I said, it's not totally mandatory. Just is enough that if everything, or if at least the main buildings or the main things in your composition are just close to the close to the intersections. Yeah. So this was the first aspect to take care when you start your composition. First of all, is just the idea. Just think what you want to create, what kind of buildings you want to create. You think just about what kind of environment I want to create. So once you have this, just make research, just take a look, create your own folders with your first reference about what kind of buildings, what kind of architecture. Just take care about the details on the architecture, what kind of things, what kind of stuff will help to me to create that continuity, that language, that visual language. And once you have that, just create just a few sketches, like 3 or 4, really quick. Don't pay much attention to the extra details. Just think about the composition, think about where you want to put all the elements, and just make your lines to create that rule of the composition, and this will help you when you don't know where to place all the buildings. So this was the first lesson. This was the first step to your composition. And in the next one, we're gonna start to talk about that reference research. I will give you a couple of tips and about what kind of reference you want to create, how we can separate all the reference, and to create our first let's say library of our reference that will be really helpful to us during our process.